In convict times, none of these dividing walls were here. Convicts are all classed the same. They're just convicts, open straight through for about 140 metres. So I spoke of using as much local material as possible. We spoke of the stone for the walls and the cell block, and this cell block, by the way, in the convict period, referred to as the convict establishment. The timber is original, Jarrah timber. Jarrah, one of the hardest woods in the world. So hard, try hammer a nail into Jarrah without drilling a hole first. The nail will often just bend over. It's a very hard timber. It's unique to the southwest of Western Australia. All this timber comes from Kings Park near Perth, cut down by convicts on work parties, brought down the river on barges and hauled up the hill here for the use in the construction of the cell block. This is the original flooring. It's Yorkshire flagstone from England. Came out as part of the ballast on the convict ships. Only concreted over in the early 1980s. No industry in those earlier years, certainly no metal industry. Nearly everything metallic here came from England. All these doors are original, prefabricated, corrugated iron, thick gauge, came out as part of the ballast. Nearly every nail, nut, bolt and screw used to hold this together, it came from England. Suicide net was only taken out a few months ago, trying to get this back as close as we can to the convict period, but the suicide net was not installed until the 1920s. Now we know 5 convicts died while building this place. I dare say from falling from what we call the landings. You fall from the top landing onto this flagstone. It was not a serious injury, it's a fatal one. Go on them dying on us, they're a workforce. Now understand in the mid-19th century, every time you send a request from here back to Britain for something to be sent out here, it's roughly a 6 months journey to go back. You've got to process the request, send the item out. A year or so has gone by. In the meantime, they improvise. All the rails this side of the church are from derelict ships from the harbour, no longer seaworthy for the journey back to Britain. They stripped the ships down and used as much material from them as they could. The ones on the northern side, which we will see later, are the ones sent to us after a request had been made, and they're different. They're a fraction taller. Instead of 1 rung, it's actually 4. Original lighting was whale oil lamps followed by kerosene lamps. Used to hang off hooks out the side of the landings. Hooks for the neck here, go right to the top. 1907, electricity arrived, only on the landings, not in cells. No power points in any cells until 1982, just 9 years before it shut. Diet for a convict, considering they're working every day, very poor. A typical convict diet, breakfast, bread and water, evening meal, bread and water, the main meal, middle of the day, salted meat, usually mutton, potatoes, vegetables.